Okay, here we are with 14.4. This is on volume of prisms. So we've been working on surface area, now we're moving to volume. So volume of a three-dimensional figure is a measure of the amount of space that it occupies. And remember, volume is measured in cubic units. So your units should be a unit cubed or units with an exponent 3. Okay, so that is for volume. All right, so new term here. I'm not sure if you guys have been introduced to this yet, but think about when we are talking about the area of a triangle. When we're talking about the area of a triangle, it is 1/2 times the base times the height. And the base is represented by a lowercase b. Well, now you're being introduced to an uppercase B or a capital B. And the capital B represents area of base. So anytime you see a capital B, it's not talking about the side length of a base. It is talking about the actual area of the base. So it's area of the base times the height. That is your formula for volume of a prism. Now, if you think about this, anytime that you remembered volume in the past years, you always known volume to be length times width times height, right? So volume is length times width times height. Think about that. Typically when you were finding volume, you were finding volume of cube-shaped or rectangular cube-shaped items. So how would you find the area of a square or the area of a rectangle? That would be length times width. That is your area of your base. And then you multiply that by your height. And that is how you get length times width times height formula. It's the same exact thing if we were to do that for a rectangular prism. But now, when you talk about a triangular prism, we know that area of the base is a different formula because area of a triangle is 1/2 of the base times height. So to keep it simple, they just made the formula be volume equals area of whatever shape base it is times the height of that three-dimensional figure is going to give you the volume. All right, so let's do some practice. So find the volume of this prism. So we can tell from looking at the picture, this is a rectangular prism because it has rectangle bases. Now it does tell you over here in the study tip, I took this straight from your textbook, that the area of the base of a rectangular prism is the product of the length and the width. So you are able to use volume equals length times width times height to find the volume of this prism. So that's basically all you need to do anytime you are seeing a rectangular prism or a cube or anything with a rectangle base or a square base. All right, so volume, I'm just going to write the formula they want us to use, which is area of base times height. But we know that the area of this base is length times width times height. Okay, so volume equals 6 times 8 times 15. And my volume equals 720 yards cubed, or cubic yards, however you would like to say it. And that's it for a rectangular prism. That's something that you're used to. You're used to doing length times width times height. But if we move on to a triangular prism, now we need to remember that we need to find the area of the base first, and then we just multiply it by the height. Okay. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. Oops. All right, so this is example 2, finding the volume of a prism. So again, as I mentioned, it's always important to just continue to write your formulas because that will help it make it stick in your brain. Okay, I'm using the capital B. It's very important that when you're working with variables, you're using the proper uppercase or lowercase. Typically, variables are lowercase until you get into, as you move farther in math, then that they start assigning the uppercase letters for specific items in formulas. Okay, so we know that the area of the base is a triangle. So it has to be half of, let me get out my little highlighter here. Remember we talked about areas of triangles. It is the sides of the triangles that make the right angle. So that's this one and this one. Okay. So 5.5 times 2. So that takes care of the capital B. And then we're going to multiply this times the height. Now, if you think about this, this is where you have to really kind of picture this in your head. And again, it would be so much easier if we were in the classroom and we had the actual 3D shapes in front of us that we could see this and visualize it better. But if the triangles are your bases, think about this prism actually sitting on the triangle. So it's actually going to be, turned upwards, which then would therefore indicate that this is the height. If this was standing on one of the triangle bases, this is going to be the height. So times 4. Okay, so half of 5.5 times 2 times 4 is going to equal 22 inches cubed, or 22 cubic inches. Okay, so when you're doing your assignments with volumes of prisms, a lot of times if they're giving you shapes or 3D figures that have bases that aren't rectangles, squares, triangles, or circles, they're going to give you the capital B. They will give you the measurement for that area of base, and then you would just need to multiply the height. That's it for 14.4. Thank you.